Hello, this is Dr. Eric Bricker, and thank you for watching AHealthcareZ. Today's topic is 6 causes of employer health plan change. And as we all know, pain causes change. So we're going to go through 6 sources of pain and the resulting healthcare change. So first source of pain is regulation, changes in regulation, with obviously the biggest example being the Affordable Care Act, which caused tons of changes within employers back in 2010 when it was originally passed. Now, looking forward, this pain of regulation might occur again given the results of the upcoming presidential election. We will see. Next pain point, decreased top-line revenue causes pain that leads to employee health plan change. Where does that come from? That comes from recessions. And where does that largely come from? That largely comes from the business cycle, which is highly influenced by the Federal Reserve and interest rates. Okay, so isn't that interesting? That, believe it or not, the Federal Reserve actually plays a fairly significant role in changing healthcare in America. Okay, next up, increased healthcare costs without increased revenue. Okay, so not just increased healthcare costs alone, it has to be in an environment where there is not an increase in revenue. Okay, where's that? It often happens in local, state, and regional governments, right? So like the state of Montana, their healthcare costs kept going up. Their tax receipts were not going up through the roof. The state of North Carolina recently, with their changes that they tried to make, right? Their healthcare costs were going through the roof. Again, they couldn't just it's not easy to just raise taxes on people. So in many respects, really the harbingers of change in healthcare in America, it's actually at the state level. I mean, the federal level gets so much attention, but really a lot of the really cool stuff's actually happening at the state and local level. Okay, next up, a leadership change within the executives in the organization. In other words, typically like the CEO or the CFO. And so before I did a case presentation about Quest Diagnostics and how their own employee health plan did a dramatic change where they actually took control of the health plan away from HR and they gave it to a chief medical officer that they hired to just run their health plan. Now, it's interesting. If you look on LinkedIn at Quest, they got a new CFO relatively soon before they made that dramatic change. So I wasn't there. I don't know for a fact that that's what it is. But isn't it interesting that that dramatic change happened after a change in leadership in the CFO at Quest? Okay, next up, legal action. Okay, so getting sued, that can cause the pain necessary for change. With the most recent one in the news being the Yale Wellness Program, was where Yale was actually sued by the employees. And what's interesting here is that those Yale employees, they were unionized. So to a certain extent, it's potentially groups of employees acting together. And what are the groups of employees? They're really unions. It'll be interesting to see if it's really those employers that have unions and those unions being the impetus for legal action against employers that spur some degree of change. Okay, now finally, we have cost alone in a low margin business. So if you go to a healthcare services conference where people sell various health insurance or healthcare services, products, etc., everyone's lower cost, lower cost, lower cost. It's what everybody says. Okay, but lower cost alone doesn't cause change to happen. It has to happen in a low margin business where Sarah Graf in the automotive industry with John Torrance, he even said himself, look, we are a low margin business. So decreasing their costs was a big contribution to their EBITDA. Likewise with Walmart. I mean, they compete on price and selection. They compete on price. So if they're going to keep their prices low, they have to keep their costs low, meaning their employee health plan costs have to be low. Okay, so why am I pointing out these 6 causes of change? Well, it's because there are pockets of change. Oftentimes we talk about this big amorphous, nebulous employer healthcare thing, but it's really pockets of change. Change can be accomplished if you find the pockets. So really, to a certain extent, the winner in employee benefits and the winner in the brokerage space and the winner in the health plan space and all the vendors are really to the best finders, to the best seekers of pain. Even if your mousetrap is not the best mousetrap in the world, if you can find the folks that are the pockets of change, then you will be successful. And that's my point for today. Thank you for watching AHealthcareZ.